Since it began back in 2013, the Purge franchise has become one of the more popular horror/thriller franchises in recent times. Not necessarily because the films are that good, but just that they are very stylish and they all contain an interesting concept. The Forever Purge, the 5th installment, was recently released, so like we do on my channel, we're going to look through all 5 of these Purge movies and rank them starting from the worst and getting to the best. Please let me know what your ranking would be down below. And without further ado, let's get into it. Coming in 5th and last place is the Forever Purge. Reading the synopsis, this actually lends itself to another interesting concept where a bunch of purgers decide that they're going to continue purging past the 12-hour limit. And for the first time we see the police getting involved and purging happening during the daylight. However, it fails to live up to its potential with this plot, like a lot of these films, and delivers a very dull and boring Purge film. From the start to finish, the characters are very unlikable, so it's hard to root for them when anything happens or whether they're in danger or not, so you don't really care if they succeed. Even though in some parts this could be considered the biggest scale of them all, just the execution just makes it feel very forgettable and like it doesn't have too much of a consequence. Within a few months this will be a forgotten movie and a forgotten Purge film, as it doesn't really bring anything which was that exciting for me personally, and it also struggles to balance some really big themes where it just feels really awkward amongst the dialogue heavy filled scenes. So going into this one, I didn't really have too high of expectations as all the films have pretty much been disappointing, so I got exactly what I thought I would, but I didn't enjoy it. Coming in at 4th place is the First Purge. For some reason I believed that this film would be the one which wouldn't be a letdown, as it would show how everything started and show us some new fresh ideas, which they do, but not very well. From start to finish this film is a mess, all stemming from its awful writing, which really affects the story and the characters. Once again, barely any of them are likable, especially the character Skeletor. He's not supposed to be likable because he's the big bad of the film supposedly, but he just feels extremely cheesy, cartoonish, and over the top that it doesn't really belong in a film like this. It was intriguing to have the government more involved, but the execution of that as well was just stupid. It's as simple as that. I was semi-engaged for the first part of this film, but then actually once it got into the Purge itself, I began to lose interest as it was nothing we hadn't seen before. So for me, this and the Forever Purge were easily the worst of the franchise. So let's move on to number 3. Coming in at 3rd place is The Purge. Now like I said, when this film initially came out, everyone was very intrigued by the concept. And even when this film did come out, people did enjoy it because that concept was so good, but in reality, it really isn't executed well. Now I get that there's a small budget, and if you want to start a franchise, sometimes you have to start minuscule and then allow yourself to expand upon that, and I guess this is what this film has done, but having such an interesting concept confined to just a house felt like a very missed opportunity for something special to kick off this franchise. They took what would allow for so many interesting storylines and just had them locked in this house where people are trying to break in. And not only is it disappointing, the film is just boring. It's only an hour and 25 minutes. Nothing really happens. A lot of intrigue about these sort of films where you're, hiding in your house away from people trying to get in. It's tension, but there isn't any here because you don't care. The characters make ridiculously dumb decisions. You're just like, at this point, if they're that dumb, the people trying to get in can have them. When it did get to the end, there were some action scenes, but once again, very poorly executed. It was filled with shaky cam, it was in the dark, and when you saw people shooting guns, you could really see that they were fake. When you pulled the trigger, you could see that it was CGI where they shot it. So a really disappointing film to this franchise, but nonetheless, it kicked off this whole franchise. Coming in at 2nd place is The Purge Election Year. Now I said these films are popular without actually being that good, and I think this is one of the most popular because there are many stylish costumes in it which people, including myself, have adapted for Halloween with the LED mask. But Purge Election Year does cover an interesting perspective. These films normally follow the same format where they follow different people who end up joining together, and I believe that this film does contain one of those weakest plot lines of a character, and that is the schoolgirl who's literally fighting to the death to get a chocolate bar. Oh, not only was that a dumb avenue to take, but the character, the writing for her, the acting, it was so over the top and really, really hard to watch. Not because there was any blood or anything, just, oh, it was so bad. I think this is the worst character from any of these Purge films, worse than Skeletor from the First Purge, because it was just frankly so dumb. Despite really trying, this film does follow in its predecessor's footsteps by being a big letdown. There is very few compelling characters. Frank Grillo returns as like sort of a prequel for his character, and they don't really add anything to his character. They show what he was like before the events of what's yet to come this ranking, but it's nothing we didn't expect. Like, it didn't develop his character more, just showed him in his line of work. So even though it's in second, this film is still quite a letdown. Coming in at first place is The Purge Anarchy. This film does what the original Purge should and could have done, taking the film outside into the open, into the action, rather than having it locked inside a house. For the big Purge world, which really does feel like it's established for the first time in this film, Frank Grillo does fit the bill perfectly, as, you know, he's just an action superstar. And after seeing a rich family hide away during the Purge in the previous film, it is a nice change of perspective to the lower class, seeing how they can't protect themselves, and it shows the sort of fears that are brought to them each year. Once again, which isn't too much of a bad thing because it's not really the point of these films, but the characters are not really likable. You can tell they spent the least amount of time writing them. One that stands out is the Callie character. She was just irritating the whole time and kept bothering Frank Grillo, asking him questions which person wouldn't normally ask. It was just for the audience to understand where they're coming from, why he's doing this, and etc. Only for the audience's benefit. So for me, this was quite easily in first place. However, judging by my rating, it's quite an average film, but as Purge films goes, this is the best. Thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe, and don't forget to comment what your ranking would be. If you'd like to see my Fast and Furious ranking, which is my previous video, I'll leave a clickable card up in the corner here that you can go check out. Other than that, I really hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope to see you in my next one.